Hello, this is a compilation video shot at the beginning of a growing season. You may want to give this a go when the beginning of your growing season arrives. Square foot bucket gardens are much more user-friendly and more flexible than a conventional square foot garden. If you're gardening at home and have a small garden or no garden at all, a square foot bucket garden might be for you. This is your square foot bucket garden heads up. Enjoy the video. Square foot bucket garden, the next generation. We're going to go outside shortly and have a look at the bucket garden. But what I will say before we do that is did you hear Molly? What I will say before we do go outdoors is that don't run away with the idea you're going to feed a football team from a square foot bucket garden. You're not. You might be able to get some nice vegetables out there for yourself and your partner, but I doubt very much if you'll feed a family out of a square foot bucket garden. It's just too small. You can't get enough vegetables in there. So we've got this 4 foot by 4 foot square foot bucket garden. We've got some vegetables in there. We've got some herbs in there, and I think there's some fruit in there. I can't just recall, but we'll check that out when we go outside. But also what I would say is that you do get casualties. Not everything makes it, but there is an opportunity to replace things that don't make it. And in preparation for that, I've planted up another couple of buckets. I'll tag that on at the end of the video. Yeah, so let's go outside and have a look at this square foot bucket garden. Carrots, spring onions, leeks, broad beans, beetroot, lettuce, potato, parsnips, runner beans, chives, onions, celery, wild strawberries, shallots. Mint. This is a square foot bucket bed. I think you'll agree, within a short space of time things have really shot on. There's vegetables in here we're eating already, some of the herbs we're eating, but others take a little longer, and we'll have to wait till they develop. I'm going to try and get you a close-up now on all these buckets, and as you'll see, there are some casualties, but I think I've mentioned it earlier in the video, we do have a plan. The first bucket we look at has broad beans growing in it, dwarf broad beans, and already you can see there's a casualty, maybe even two. These are my onions, 4 onions, they look quite strong. Onions are growing okay. These are the spring onions, 4 bunches of spring onions. Yeah, they're growing on nicely. These are my carrots, still quite small. Bit sparse in this pot, 1 or 2 of these seeds haven't germinated. But there looks to be as though there's 20 or more carrots growing in that pot. If we get that pot to maturity, we'll be happy with that. This is the potato growing in a bucket. It's looking good. This is a lettuce called Iceberg. It's ready for harvesting. There's a few iceberg in that bucket, and we'll be taking those over the next few weeks. This is a lettuce called Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb's ready to be harvested, and we'll be taking some Tom Thumb over the coming weeks. There's 4 beetroot in this pot. They've all got a good hold and they're all growing on strongly. These are definitely 4 onions growing in this pot. The 4 onions you saw earlier were 4 leeks, and they're a leek called Musselburgh. These are my chives. The chives are ready and we've been taking chives, so we're already taking chives as we need them. This is 4 dwarf beans. One of them's looking quite sickly, I'm not too sure if it'll make it, but that's 4 dwarf runner beans. We've got 4 parsnips growing in this bucket. I think it's a bit of a stretch really. These buckets are only 10 inches deep, so I'll be quite surprised if we get any sizable parsnips out, but we're giving them a go anyway. This is the mint. Mint's been ready for a week or 2 now, and we're taking the mint as we need it. These are my shallots. One of the shallots looks as though it's not going to make it. So out of the 4 shallots growing in a bucket, we've now got 3 shallots growing in a bucket. This is the only fruit in this square foot bucket bed, and this is a wild strawberry, one we found in the garden and we planted up. There's 4 heads of celery in this bucket, and they're looking quite strong, so we're quite happy with the way this celery is developing. Well, I hope you enjoyed that tour of the square foot bucket garden. We'll have another look at it in a few weeks' time. But so far, so good. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out. Okay, so that was the first few weeks growing in my square foot bucket garden. If you want to see how it grew over the following months, click the link in the text below. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.
First of all, what went through my mind is how stupid am I to actually volunteer for this? It was unbelievably painful.